Welcome back to the Slow Flowers Show with Deborah Prinzing. This is episode 533, and I am so excited to welcome you to this show as we discuss all the things we care about and introduce you to my guest, TJ McGrath. I first met TJ McGrath when I interviewed him for a Florist Review article about the floral business in New York City. Ironically, that entire New York issue was never printed. It just appeared online because it was the May 2020 issue, right smack in the middle of COVID. But that experience put TJ on my radar, and I regularly admired his floral designs as he transitioned from working at a retail flower shop to going solo and renaming his Instagram account TJ McGrath Design. We invited TJ to be a guest at last September 2020 Slow Flowers member meetup, where he shared his unique, fresh, and modern approach to foam-free floral designs, especially using pin frogs from our friends at Floral Genius. TJ's design philosophy is pretty simple. He says there are no real rules in nature, so there are no restrictions or rules in his designs. I strive every day to push beyond my boundaries and to create one-of-a-kind designs that feel modern, whimsical, and fresh. I'm reaching beyond what I've done thus far to discover new, engaging shapes, color palettes, and foraged organics to design with, using advanced floral foam-free mechanics. That's his statement. Committed to fostering a community that is inclusive as well as environmentally and socially aware, TJ believes a sustainable floristry industry is achievable and starts at home. He has and continues to seek out and support local flower farming community, the entire community where he lives in New Jersey. And I'm so happy to share this conversation with you. Let's jump right in and welcome TJ McGrath. Hi, everybody. Hello again, and welcome back to the Slow Flowers Show with Deborah Prinzing. This is episode 533. Thanks so much for joining us. You are in for a very special treat today because I've invited my friend TJ McGrath. Hi, TJ.
Hi, Deborah. How are you?
I'm good. It's so good to see you coming to me from across the country. You'll tell us about that. But TJ agreed to join me for a conversation about his experience and life in flowers, especially since the last time people met him at a year ago at our Slow Flowers meetup, which was in the throes of the pandemic.
Yes,
But the timing today is perfect because yesterday we announced the speaker lineup for the 2022 Slow Flowers Summit, which will be at the Stone Barn Center for Food and Agriculture in Pocantico Hills, New York, which is the Hudson Valley. TJ will be one of our guest designers and instructors at that event. I'm so excited, TJ, that you said yes.
I'm like so ridiculously excited.
It's going to be awesome. You're going to lead two sessions, and the dates are June 26th to 28th, 2022, and you can find all the details at slowflowerssummit.com. So more on that later, but it kind of felt like we had to celebrate that announcement and get one of our instructors on. So thanks for saying yes. And you're in your kitchen, which is where people see you do a lot of videos, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, the kitchen is most of the house. so yeah, it's the easiest place to do these kinds of things. Plus I have counters and things.
Yeah.
And I can place stuff around. So really, really awesome for you to join me here.
Tell us a little bit about a snapshot of TJ McGrath Designs as it is now, because I know you're a curious person and you're constantly experimenting.
Yes, I am. TJ McGrath Designs is about a year old. It came about because of the pandemic, and the choice was, do I find another full-time design position or do I go out on my own? And my initial reaction was medical benefits, regular salary, all of that, go for that. And Andrew's reaction was, you're too talented, you have to try it yourself, which I still don't really, I know, right?
Like, we all need partners like that. I love that.
We do.
Awesome.
So when the house is a big mess and there's flowers everywhere and he's like, I can't get out the door, I'm like, you're the one who told me to do this.
That's your back pocket excuse. I love it.
It is, because I honestly don't know if I would have done it without his encouragement. So what is the studio? So I've spent kind of like the last year, I think, trying to figure out what I don't want the studio to be. And I don't, I kind of started writing the website right away and said, I don't want to book weddings. Like I've just come out of almost 7 years of wedding. And plus, like, I mean, the kitchen is lovely. And
Yes,
it's,
you'd
but
like to enjoy it.
the, the whole house is 840 square feet. So like, a giant wedding out of this house would be, I know lots of people do it. They don't have a Chaucer or those things.
Chaucer being one of your two dogs, right?
Chaucer being one of the two dogs. So I kind of quickly realized at the beginning, I don't want to try to start selling weddings, but that never meant that I wouldn't entertain the right inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
And over the last few months, a few of the right inquiries have come through. So I have actually booked a couple of events for next year. And I thought, what's the best way for me to sort of bring in an income and still play with flowers and do all of that while I'm figuring out what the studio is going to become. So I've actually done a lot of freelancing because that's a great, way to help keep paying the bills. But I also, reached out and started a bit of a small subscription service, which now that we're coming, I'm realizing is really a very sort of seasonal subscription service because we're coming into the dead of winter and the availability of flowers in New Jersey right now is kind of slim. So it's, it's been a year of like trying to refigure out what my style is, where I want to go, a lot of experimenting, just like you said.
You it seems like a really good relationship with the greenhouse Howtow and Sons. Is
Yeah,
that, I mean, I'm dying to visit it because I've seen photos of your workshops there. How far is that from you in New Jersey?
it's an hour and 15 minutes, which
Okay.
for normal folks is like, a swig of water
Yeah.
down the way. For me, I think I struggle with driving on highways. So it's a bit of a challenge. I just did a workshop there a couple of weeks ago. Just got the gallery in. I'm really excited to share that with everyone who attended.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
and this time I was smart. So this was the fourth one at Hotel. And this time I was smart. I actually booked an Airbnb for the Friday because you go up the day before. You can't set up the morning of a workshop, the
Right.
morning workshop.
Right.
So my flower assistant and I went up the day before, and then I was like, we're starting at 8:30. There's an Airbnb 5 minutes away. Do you want to stay? And she was amazing. She has a 5-month-old baby, and she was like, yeah, I could take a break.
This was your co-presenter?
She was, no, my co-presenter, actually, she came up too. So the three of us, she came up on Friday and helped set up too. This was my flower assistant. And I say that with like, I don't have a flower assistant. There's just so much work that goes into it, right? Like, and I'm an old dude, Deborah. I needed some extra hands. And Jill is amazing. And she was like, yeah, I get to play with thousands of flowers, just arranging, you condition some of the flowers, all of that. So you just need like a small army
Yeah.
of people. But I'm
Yeah.
not somebody who has a flower assistant.
I'd like it though.
I
Um,
mean, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't. 'Cause she's
so,
in
I was saying it wrong. It's Hatow, not Howtow.
Tata is how Kim and
Okay.
Brian say.
Okay.
Tata.
And that's like an established greenhouse grower right?
Yeah. 3 generations. They've been around since like the early 1900s. That's part of the workshop too, right? So it's interesting to see if the next workshop I have plans for another venue. If the growers who came, so everyone I've done at Hata has been like a mix of designers, growers, and just enthusiasts. So it'll be interesting to see when I'm not actually at a farm, if I continue to get that grower interest
Hmm.
in the work. I think so because I work really hard to like maintain those relationships with growers. Um, so I think that they'll still want to come. But
Yeah.
a lot of them definitely go and want to meet Kim and Brian. Kim gives a tour on our way. The Hellebore House is the third greenhouse. There's 3 greenhouses, and the Hellebore House is the last. So she sort of tours and talks. She's an artist. Like the woman is
Uh,
like,
I need to come visit. It
yes.
sounds, but it sounds like that. This is when I first met you. You were saying to me that I want to say it was maybe a couple years ago, and you were saying how you were trying to develop relationships with local growers because right up until a couple years ago, people were still hauling themselves into New York City to West
Yeah.
28th Street, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny. They're like a few years ago, they were hard to find. I think the flower farmers, you know, not everybody is Erin from Floret, and sees the power of social media, but this is New Jersey. There's flower farmers everywhere, and it was actually Kristen Deal who said to me, "You must have flower farmers in New Jersey. Like why, And I was like, you're right. So I started scouring and scouring and scouring, and through connections and talking to people, I actually talked to one of the ladies who worked at the wholesaler who was like, I know a farmer who knew a farmer, who knew a farmer, who knew a farmer. And so relationships just started building up. And you actually have Patty on, I think, the Slow Flowers meetup. She's the head of our co-op. So
Yeah, you're one of the first people who told me that co-op was forming. It's called Garden State
Garden
Flower
State.
Co-op.
Yep.
How far is that from you?
So
how much more driving do you have to do?
A lot. So, and it's funny, I was talking to one of the farmers last night who was like, we're voting on Wednesday for a possible new location that might be nearer to you. And I was like, I'll spend more if it's nearer to me.
Yeah, you'll be their number one client in that case.
Exactly. So, they've grown so much, which I'm sure that Patty talked about.
Yeah.
Right now, for me to get there, it's like an hour and 20 minutes on back roads.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little hard. But again, like for me, the whole flower business is relationships, right? Talking to people, because I think flower people, one, we like to talk. We like to talk about flowers. So a lot of the folks that I ended up freelancing for, I kind of turned them on to the co-op either last year or whatever. And so and people texting me all the time, like, I'm going to pick up. Do you need me to get anything? Do you want to place an order? Should I FaceTime you when I get to the market floor? And so
that's so cool. You've kind of built the community. You built a community of like bringing your peers along so that they get excited about local product.
Yeah, for sure. And also one of the benefits of having me freelance with you is learning a little bit more about sustainability and options could have done with, for some of the events without floral foam. But yeah, I mean, it's been a wild, kind of crazy year. So I'm like presenting at the 2022 Slow Flower Summit. That's crazy.
Well, yeah, I'm excited. Of course, Becky Feasby, our mutual friend from Prairie Go Flowers in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, got to you first, and you presented at her Sustainable Flowers workshop just in September, right?
Yes. Yeah. It was amazing.
Awesome.
And, like, the big takeaway for me in my presentation there was, I think, so instrumental, like, if you want a life in flowers in some way, shape, or form, which is you need to be able to adjust on the fly, right? So I love to tell this story, so indulge me. We didn't get to see the venue before the actual day of the workshop starting. And all summer long, all I knew was it was huge. Becky was saying, it's huge, it's huge, it's huge. And when we got there, the photographer was like, what are you thinking? What are you going to do? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't know. I just got here. There's so much space. I have to think about it for a second. And she was like, there's one window. And I like to shoot in some natural light. And I was like, me too. So the 3,800 square foot venue turned into like, we need to do this installation in a 10 by 20 type area. So I had to adjust. And your friend Toby was there too. She helped me adjust very quickly. We got our mechanics up, and nobody was the wiser that it wasn't exactly what was planned all summer long. But that's, a big takeaway is you have to adjust to on the fly all the time.
Right. I love that. Yeah, it's almost like one of your tools in your toolkit, which is to be unflappable and just make a like last minute split second decision when you can't control the space or whatever.
Right. Exactly. I do some mentoring, and I had one of my clients reach out to me yesterday, and she was like, I made a huge mistake. I ordered the vases for next weekend's wedding 2 months ago. I opened one box. It was fine. I put them in storage. All of the other vases are broken. What do I do? I'm freaking out. I called her immediately. Start calling around. Find out who has a vase that you can borrow. And what I'm hearing is you're beating yourself up. You're like, that isn't going to do any good for you. Every single event florist makes that mistake. You'll never make it again. You will always check your inventory when it comes in.
You will open every box.
You will open every box. You will make sure, because she can't get a credit now. It's been so long, all of that kind of stuff. And I was like, and she was like, I said, listen, you have to stop beating yourself up. Truly, every single person has done that. Yeah. I'm sure. I know I have. So it's a lesson you learn one time. That one sticks because it stings. It's your wallet.
Yeah.
Right.
Good advice. Well, you said you teach sustainable design, and you are very visible on your beautiful feed. On you have your website, you have your email up there, and your website is TJ McGrath Design. But at Instagram, it's also at TJ McGrath, right?
Yep, at TJ McGrath Design.
Design, okay. So every time, I mean, you always tag slow flowers, so I always see what you're doing, and it's stunning. And I know you're working with the end of the season availability, and you said you'd whip up something for us. So
yes, I did. So
thank you.
Me, you know, I get a little long-winded, Deborah. So if you want to cut me off, by all means, go ahead. So for me, you know, when you asked me like 10 minutes ago if I could do this,
I gave you 2 days notice.
So I started like panicking. I'm like, you know, if you look at my feed, it's hard to find some of those more experimental things, especially because I'm coming out of full flower season, right? We had lots of flowers. So I had lots of flowers available to me. So I was like panicking, and I'm like, I have these leftover amazing chocolate dahlias from Hota.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Crazy. But they're, you know, I always say you have to really love a dahlia to the bitter end, because from the retail perspective, I can see a client not really appreciating the dying back at the back. But when you look at the front of it, it's still perfect. You know, there's still so much more life in that. So I stopped myself from panicking and said, just do you, work with what you have, because this, you know, when the season is in full bloom, I don't always remember to think out of the box. It doesn't, you know,
Interesting.
I think I'm like a really good example of the fact that you can teach yourself to think out of the box. It doesn't necessarily always come incredibly naturally, right? So the pressure of hanging out with you this morning, and I was like, think out of the box, think out of the box. And I was like, I'm never going to eat these bananas. I'm never going to eat these bananas. So
you are crazy. How many are there?
There's 3, and then I have one extra one in case, like, I don't know, later on I want it to be like up here.
I think you can mash them up and make banana nut bread after this or something.
If I knew how.
I'll send you the recipe.
So I thought, you know, I was like, that makes sense. I keep questioning myself often, and I put it out there on Instagram every now and then, this question of like, what's in your vase? You know, just to get people thinking about, is what's in your vase necessary? Is it healthy for the environment? Or whatever. So this is a total experiment amongst us. It could go completely horribly wrong, but that's okay. You know, you learn from your mistakes, right?
It's brilliant already. You've already elevated the lowly bruised banana.
Right.
With just twine, right?
It is. It's just regular garden twine. And, you know, you probably thought you'd see me using my hairpin, which I love. But when I'm teaching the hairpin at the workshop, the first question is like, well, how do I cover it? I'm like, why do you want to cover it? You know, you don't, it's a work of art. It's an American invention.
Yeah.
And
good point.
If whoever is looking at your arrangement is so intrigued by it that they need to go in and look at it, that arrangement is a huge success, and they should see how you did it.
Yeah. It's a teachable moment. I love that.
A teachable moment. So yeah, I've got some of these dahlias. I picked also some, can you believe I still have one garden rose?
Oh my God, from your garden?
From my garden. Actually, I have 2 buds. And we've had like frost a few times. So
isn't it great? I mean, I always love finding a rose in December in my garden. And you know, they're tinier. This one is quite large that you have.
It's crazy. It just refuses to. So I do have a pin frog at the bottom of there.
Okay.
And I have some beautiful dogwood that I thought would like kind of picked up both of the colors, right?
It's beautiful.
So got
the stem and the leaves.
Yeah, right. And then so I wish nature would do that naturally, make a beautiful delicate branch. But again, I have to remind, like when I first cut it, it was this mass of gorgeous leaves. And so editing is such a big part of, I think, what we do. And again, something that I believe you can teach yourself to do, because it doesn't, I have to remind myself, wow, edit some of this stuff. So I wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
it's like you almost have to give yourself permission to have some restraint, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I love a lot of, well, I mean, I don't really love a lot of greenery. I'm not going to lie here on national television.
You're like a flower guy. You're flower
I,
forward.
I know, it's so funny. So I have a huge Thanksgiving home installation next week, and Kim is working feverishly with lots of local designers who have really big. I'm sorry, my cat is going after my rutabaga.
Oh dear.
Um, you know, so
Wait, you have two dogs and a cat?
yes, we have a cat as well.
Oh,
I had a cat first
okay.
before the two dogs, and she had a brother, but he's now gone.
Wow.
Uh,
It's a full household.
yeah, you know, we're a happy little family here in Plainfield.
So I cut you off. You were talking about the Thanksgiving installation. It's for a private client?
It's for a private client. It is probably, you know, I mean, it's a nice sized wedding, only it's in a house, and it's not really a wedding. It's just she's celebrating the fact that she can get together with family.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, and she was like, I just want to go nuts. I want to have flowers everywhere, and I want to do those things that you call installations and all of that super fun stuff. So now I'm gonna go crazy with my barbecue skewer here and see if I can get one of these dahlias right through my banana.
I was wondering if you were going to use the banana almost as a foam alternative. You created a little hole for it.
Yeah, I've created a hole. That stem is actually going to go into the water. But yeah, for sure, the purpose of the banana is to hopefully elevate a stem above the rest of the design.
Right. Totally. Like even you're not going to have that in the pin frog at all or the water. It's just going to be
Nope, just in the banana. And
love it.
it's a science experiment, right? Like, how long will it last in the banana? The last time I actually tried to use bananas as a water source, I had peeled them. And it was like July, and it was really hot, and the bananas started melting, and the flowers, I was like, it was a complete and epic fail.
Oh my gosh.
So
But you were probably using an unripe peeled banana versus this style, right?
Yes, exactly. So,
but just the experimentation of that fail is what made you rethink, okay, maybe I can do it with the skin on this time.
Exactly. So, you know, and that's one of the things that I talk about, like, at the workshop a lot, is just like, especially at a workshop, my God, I'm ridiculously, you know, crazy about having more flowers than anybody will ever need at a compote and a bouquet workshop. But I want them to be able to make the most ginormous, you know, if they want to make a car-sized bouquet, this is their opportunity, which was cool.
This is the workshop you just taught at Hotel.
This is the workshop that I just taught. Yeah.
Okay. You know, we'll have to get our heads together and figure out what we're going to do when you demonstrate a compote or a centerpiece at the summit, because I'd really like you to be able to do that same thing you just alluded to, which is respond to what's in season, which you can't plan ahead for. You'll have to see what's right. Blooming.
And then that goes back to the whole, like, you know, if you want to be in flowers, you have to learn how to adjust. You know, it was exactly the same way in Calgary. I thought one of the most amazing things about Becky's workshop was the fact that I think 95 or 99, some crazy amount of the flowers were all grown by participants. So, which is incredibly cool, unless you are the instructor and you're not seeing those until the day of the workshop.
Right.
So you know, I knew we were getting lots of flowers, but I didn't really see them. I don't know, maybe I want that there, maybe I don't.
What is that? That's the Rudbeckia?
That's Rudbeckia hortensia. So flowers always have a story, right? I think. And this Rudbeckia hortensia is in my house an heirloom flower because it originated in my father's garden. It looks like a dahlia sometimes. People often ask me if it's a dahlia. But one of the things that I love about it is it blooms from probably, depending on the weather, late June to like the first 2 weeks of August.
So did
So
you dug some up and brought with you to this garden?
no, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I dug up some of his. This is yeah. I dug up some of his and brought it to my first garden, which this is my second house in this town. And I then dug it up, so I planted it there in that first house, and then I dug it up and planted it here as well, where I sold it.
How big is your garden, TJ? Is it just enough to cut for your personal use?
Yes, yes, and it's hardly enough to let the dogs get all the exercise that they need. So it used to. So these dogs have been with us for Chaucer's going to be 3. So just about 3 years, and up until 3 years ago, I actually had like a nice a nice garden, mostly perennial. This is turning into like a crazy thing.
It's, you know what though, your process, I'm so fascinated by it because it's like you work with negative space as much as positive space in where you're placing things. And I don't think you have a design in mind before you start, but it seems so natural the way you're like looking for where's the next, next negative space that needs to be occupied with a mass of flowers.
Yes. Well, thank you for noticing that because I don't really know what I'm doing. No, I'm just, but yeah, I don't ever really. I didn't have a vision for what these dahlias would do. The only thing I thought was they're really dark. I struggle to photograph dark colored flowers. So I was just like, just don't jam pack them so they become one big color blur.
Yeah.
Uh, but that was all I sort of had in mind.
But having the yellow from the golden foliage and the bananas and the white vessel really helps.
And so you know what will happen? I will take a picture of this and Kim will say, see, I was right. That chocolate dahlia goes beautifully with yellow. Kim is an artist. Kim at Patois is an artist. And so we talk about color a lot. A lot of the designers now who are now shopping direct and sort of have created relationships with her are sending her their mood boards and saying, whatever in this palette. You know what
Oh
I
my
mean?
goodness.
Yeah, like she's an incredibly talented. She's an artist, so She sees color just like we all see color differently. She sees it probably better than I do because she swore that these two colors went together, and I was like, no, they don't.
I
Um,
love
and,
it. Well,
and
well, she'll feel vindicated, but also a little bit of kind of gave you something to bounce around and challenge yourself.
yes, exactly, which I do all the time. I'm all about challenging myself. I don't ever feel like um, I don't know. I never feel like I've created that one thing that's my legacy, for lack of a better.
Yeah, like you're never done.
Right, right. I'm
So
always learning.
so TJ, can we talk a little bit about your process when you are designing? I mean, it almost looks like you set up your own little daily challenge for yourself to design, and then you do something really beautiful like about this scale of what you've done here, and then you photograph it and post it. But is that am I right, or is it you just do you start out the day and say what am I going to create and how am I going to share it with people, or is it just coincidence?
I start out every day exactly the same way. What can I sell? Who can I talk to? Why can I have flowers in the house today? So that's, I think that's the big mission, has been the big mission of the studio all year long.
You are trying to work again back to restraint. You're working within what's available and what you didn't have to go spend $100 on flowers. You used either from your own source or leftovers is kind of a negative word, but what should we call it? Excess flowers. Yeah.
Yeah, for flowers, I say to a lot of the folks that I'm freelancing with who are producing big weddings every week, there's always flowers that a good designer knows when to stop, right? So there's always some flowers at the end of almost every event. I don't think I worked one event this year where every single flower was stuck into it.
That's crazy.
It was massive, and it was impressive, and it was cool. Um, it's to me, social media is the easiest way to grow a business for someone like me who's just starting out. I don't have an advertising budget, so leftovers are free advertising for me. So I tell everybody to take a picture. It doesn't have to be a professional image. Like people need to see the other side of you, what you do, how you're inspired by what's left over. That isn't actually the client's vision, right?
I love that. I love that. And then do you have a place in your house that you always photograph? Because you have some really interesting background colors that you use.
So we're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the spot where
Okay, let me stop and ask you to tell us what you're going to do with the rose.
Okay. Yeah, I'm debating. Does it go or doesn't it go? I mean, it's a rose in New Jersey after 3 or 4 severe frosts, so I'm gonna make it go.
And the color is quite lovely with the palette you have.
And I feel like I've got all this, the yellow is sort of spinning up that side of the banana, so I want to just hint it over this way. It's too special to just test it in the banana, so I'm going to try to get her into, you know what, let's just test her. Put her in the banana.
Well, it's interesting because, truth be told, it only needs to last as long as you get a photograph, right?
Photograph, exactly.
Yeah, even though you want to have flowers in your house all day. I love that.
Right. Well, and truth be told, Deborah, this arrangement, if I didn't have, I don't hate that.
I think it's quite elegant.
Right?
Yes, it's kind of just in conversation with that foliage.
Yeah.
With that dogwood foliage. Beautiful.
Brings it over a little bit, right? That color, that story. I like that. Yeah.
I do too.
So hang on one second and I'll show you where the photography happens.
Okay, good.
It happens right here.
Oh my goodness. You just have this massive board. What kind of board is that? Is it like a piece of foam cord?
I got it at Michael's. It's just like the cheapest. It's I don't know how they grade their artists. Like, it's level 1 for I'm assuming is beginners like me. And the paint on it is actually leftover paint from the fireplace. It's leftover paint from the fireplace.
Which is kind of cool because it's a palette that you live with.
Yes, I do. My interior designer friend, it's the wrong choice for the wall, but
wow.
Still, it's gonna go gray, a really beautiful charcoal gray, probably soon, which means that might go gray.
This is your fireplace color.
This is a fireplace, which I often do a sort of that fireplace. Those things that I do on my fireplace. That is how I got, and this is a lesson to everyone who doesn't understand why I say social media is free advertising and you can build a whole business off of it. This Thanksgiving Day installation is because of the things she's seen on my fireplace.
Yes. So, well, you often strip it down and start from scratch and build a beautiful installation on the mantle, right? Kind of up and across.
Yep.
Awesome.
And now there's a new product, that ocean product, from New Age Floral. So the next thing that goes on that fireplace will be a test of it inside as a hanging thing. I tested it at the workshop.
Talk about that product, because I it's like a pillow or something, right?
Yeah. Do you want me to show it to you?
Yes, if you have time.
Yeah, I have one.
He's making me want to go get a board and paint it a beautiful blue, but I don't want to. I want to find my own blue, so I'm not using a TJ blue.
This is one that's actually been soaked and is puffed up.
Oh, like a little, like a type of washcloth that you hydrate.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So you just poke a few holes in it. I think she suggests 12 holes on either side. You drop it in some water. It fills up pretty quickly, like in about 4 minutes, and it's ready to design.
So
But it is
it's called Ocean.
Ocean, Oshun, and
Okay.
you can get it at New Age Floral. And I think we'll be playing with some of these at the summit.
Wow. Wow. So you have this wrapped in chicken wire? Like have you kind of put a little like pocket purse around it?
Exactly.
Okay.
So with floral foam, they put those cages around them. It's the exact same concept. Just sort
And
of caged it, and then it hung.
oh my
Like,
gosh. Wow.
so I was able to design it 360 degrees. And it was just, at the workshop, I always try to, since we weren't doing an installation, I wanted to, and this was a relatively new product I mean, again, like, here's another lesson, right? I keep teaching myself things every day. I was like, what would happen if I reached out to the woman who's made this and say, can I be a brand ambassador? And like, it took so much courage, but I sent that email. And now I'm the first brand ambassador. And so, like,
So proud of you. That's awesome.
yeah, right?
I actually you are a brand ambassador because I didn't know anything about it until I saw it on your feed and I thought, "Oh, is TJ like their US rep?" And it sounds like you are.
Well, it's made in the US, which is awesome.
Okay.
And, I really want to, I'm not that smart, right? Like, I can't think of crazy things other than bananas to come up with as like floral foam alternatives. And so when I saw it, I immediately like went to the website and bought it, and I tried it, and I reached out and was like, I love it. Like, I want to help you sell more of it. So I was afraid to send, I sent. And I am now the brand ambassador, so I've gotten some nice freebies and stuff like that. And I have a friend now.
Wow. But you are not this is not luck, TJ. This is yes, you had to like put yourself out there, but your work is your calling card. And that's I think what you're saying about Instagram. It's like putting your work out
Yes.
is a way to just stay fresh and push yourself and stay forward in terms of what you want to do with every botanical thing that moves to your hands. I love it. So,
It was just like answer all the questions, Deborah. You did a better job than me.
no. So just to finish this conversation,
Yeah.
the blue board will rest up against your kitchen cabinet, or how
So
do
the
you
blue
photograph
board, now the blue board will actually rest on I think it's the 40-inch Harlow stand. But you're sitting on it right now.
Oh, I see. I see. So you'll flip it. Okay.
Right. Once I take you off, I've got this nice crossbar that sits right on the Harlow stand that gives me pretty much exactly enough space.
The height you want it. That's amazing.
Yeah, this is the best light that I get in the house, and almost all day it kind of like reflects off of my neighbor's house in. So it's a small little spot.
But you're making it work. You're making it work, and the thing is, the small spot is all you need for the size of our screens, right? So it's perfect.
Yeah.
This is so beautiful, TJ.
It's not. So the other reason I thought bananas, I was like, I am so bananas over the fact that I've been asked to present at Slow Flower Summit. Like, utterly bananas. I was like, I need to work bananas into this somehow. Bananas I try to sort of subliminally send messages sometimes through whatever it is that I'm making, or at least I try to see whatever I'm thinking about in what I've created. And when I look at this arrangement, I'm going to know that the bananas are really there because I'm like over the top bananas excited about Slow Flower Summit.
Oh, honey, I am too. I'm so excited. And I just, well, I'm glad you live nearby because hopefully you will get to go up from where you live in New Jersey up to the venues, right? Maple Grove Farm in Bedford, where Zinnia is going to host us, and then also Stone Barn Center. So you can kind of, if you have time, see the spaces before
Yeah.
we have the summit, and hopefully I'll come out and meet you, because it is hard on an artist to not know the space. And I know that with a wedding or a corporate event or a home, that wouldn't happen. It's just, when you travel, it is a little different.
Yeah. But, I mean, I would like for that to happen too, for
Yeah.
sure.
Good.
I think we can make that happen.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll, if it doesn't happen for some reason, it's not going to interrupt with an incredible event in what we create. We're just going to adjust.
Yeah, and I really think the theme of flowers as artist's muse is emerging as kind of the theme for the whole 3 days. And I feel like, you design with abandon, and you are definitely drawing inspiration from the materials that you gather, and they are your muse. You just, see things in a different way, and I love seeing it expressed in that compote.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean,
So will we see that on your Instagram feed later today or tomorrow?
Probably tomorrow. I've got to get it photographed, but then I think I told you I'm freelancing for a wedding. I have a house full of flowers that need to get conditioned for that.
Well, sorry to distract you, but I'm glad you were you're willing to be distracted a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Really, thank you.
Well, I'll see you soon, TJ. Thanks for helping us kind of tease everybody about what they're going to learn when they watch you demonstrate and attend your 2 sessions at the Slow Flowers Summit. And I couldn't be happier that you said yes.
I never would have said no.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Deborah.
Oh my gosh, that was so awesome. Thank you so much today. You'll be able to watch the replay video of today's show along with the downloadable podcast link found in next week's Slow Flowers podcast for episode 533 at deborahprinzing.com. Check out the entire program and meet our amazing speakers and view the schedule and the venue, lodging, and registration details for the 2022 Slow Flowers Summit at slowflowersummit.com. Ticket sales open on December 1st with a fabulous discount offer for Slow Flowers members. So you'll be hearing lots more about that. But TJ was a great way to kick it off. Before we wrap up, I have a few sponsor thank yous. This show is brought to you by slowflowers.com, the free online directory to more than 880 florists, shops, and studios who design with local, seasonal, and sustainable flowers, and to the farms that grow those blooms. It's the conscious choice for buying and sending flowers. And thank you to our lead sponsor for 2021, Farm Girl Flowers. Farm Girl Flowers delivers iconic burlap wrap bouquets and lush, abundant arrangements to customers across the U.S., supporting more than 20 U.S. flower farms by purchasing more than $9 million of U.S.-grown fresh and seasonal flowers and foliage annually. Discover more at farmgirlflowers.com. Our next sponsor thanks goes to a new sponsor. I'm so excited to welcome Details Flower Software, a platform specifically designed to help florists and designers do more and earn more. With an elegant and easy-to-use system, Details improves profitability, productivity, and organization for floral businesses of all shapes and sizes. Grow your bottom line through professional proposals and confident pricing with Details all in one platform. All friends of the Slow Flowers podcast and Slow Flowers show will receive a 7-day free trial of Details Flower software. Learn more at detailsflowers.com. Our next sponsor thanks goes to Johnny's Selected Seeds, an employee-owned company that provides our industry with the best flower, herb, and vegetable seeds supplied to farms large and small, and even to backyard cutting gardens like mine. Find the full catalog of flower seeds and bulbs at johnnyseeds.com. And our final sponsor thanks goes to Mayesh Wholesale Florist. Family owned since 1978, Mayesh is the premier wedding and event supplier in the U.S., and we're thrilled to partner with Mayesh to promote local and domestic flowers, which they source from farms large and small around the U.S. Learn more at mayesh.com. Thanks so much for joining us today. The Slow Flowers Show is a member-supported endeavor, and I value our loyal members and supporters. If you're new to our weekly show and our long-running podcast, check out all of our resources at slowflowerssociety.com and consider making a donation to sustain Slow Flowers' ongoing advocacy, education, and outreach activities. I'm Deborah Prinzing, host and producer of The Slow Flowers Show and The Slow Flowers Podcast. Next week, you're invited to join me in putting more slow flowers on the table, one stem, one vase at a time. The content and opinions expressed here are either mine alone or those of my guests alone, independent of any podcast sponsor or other person, company, or organization. Thanks again, and I will see you